So we're out here at Secret Knock, and I'm here with Jason Stewart from Epic Exotics, where we're gonna talk about cars. We're gonna talk about this car behind me, this Lamborghini, but what if you could actually get paid to own this car? This is Jason, it's exactly what he's done.
What's up guys, I'm Jason Stewart, founder of Stewart Estates and the Epic companies, including Epic Fighting, Epic Exotics, Epic Mastermind Experience, and Epic Promo Girls. And I like to travel the world and do dope shit with my family and always looking for some adrenaline, for some fun, and to add fulfillment and happiness to my life.
Jason, how many of these exotics do you own?
I've got about 10. I've got a Lamborghini, I've got a Ferrari, I've got a convertible Bentley, I've got a McLaren, I've got a Porsche, I've got a Vanderhall. I had a Cadillac Escalade that was just a very useful car. It had 3 rows, it had plenty of space, put the wolf in the middle, you put the kids in there, you cruise around and you got space for a little bit of luggage. But I noticed that I would go weeks in between driving it. You know, we live in Coronado, we're on our skateboard all the time. It makes more sense to take Uber downtown or a lot of places and not have to circle around, look for parking, pay for parking. So I found myself going one time 6 weeks without using it. So
6 weeks.
So I decided to put it on Turo. The only reason I knew about Turo is because someone recommended it for when I go to Mexico to rent cars. It's a lot easier than going through the rental companies, because the rental companies really jack you on the insurance. They say $20 for the car, but $60 for the insurance, you know? And so we started using Turo down there. And then I said, maybe I could put my car on there and make some money. Started making $3,000 a month. And after a while, I said, I need to figure out how to get more of these cars.
What I really want to do is break it down into a couple different steps as to, you wanted the cars, and you know, everybody wants these kind of cars, but everybody thinks they're so out of reach.
Yeah.
But they're really not, because if you do this, the Turo, and you rent these cars out when you're not driving them, you can't drive all these cars, you know,
No.
You just can't.
I only need one, if that. I mean, if all the cars are rented, I could take an Uber, no big deal.
Absolutely. Make sure you stay to the end of this video where I'm going to show you how to do this, but how to get all the money back for every one of these cars that you buy, drive, and own by applying one simple change. And that one change will allow you to get all the money back, plus make some cash. Everybody watching this, they could do the same thing you did?
Yeah, these were all bought under my name, literally. I'm just a dude who bought a bunch of cars, and then I decided I own Epic Fighting, I own Epic Mastermind Experience, and Epic Promo Girls. I'm gonna own Epic Exotics, and Epic Exotics with a Z at the end, which I thought was cooler than the S, was actually available on Instagram and on the website. And so, yeah, I mean, I say we as if it's a business, but really it's just, I'm just a guy who bought a bunch of cars and decided I'm gonna buy every dream car I ever wanted and rent them out. The only thing I'm missing is a Rolls Royce, which is in the process right now. So by the time you're watching this, I probably have one.
So if everyone watching this, if all of you want these cars, could they do it with no money out of pocket?
They can. Now, I only bought a few with no money out of pocket. The more expensive ones, I had to put a down payment because I was impatient. But I do have friends in the same game, and they were able to do the zero down play. And the zero down play is basically you buy the car, zero down, you trade it in for the next car that's more expensive, and you keep doing that about every 6 months or so. And every 6 months, they'll say, okay, this guy can make a $40,000 payment. We trust him for 70. Oh, he can make a $70,000 payment. We trust him for, you know, 120. And they just keep doing that to where there's people, friends of mine, that can have a $500,000 car, walk in and sign and no money out of pocket.
How about that? How many of you want to own an exotic car with zero money out of pocket? And then after each month, depending on how many times you rent it, you actually have some money left in your bank after paying the insurance, the fuel, the car wash, and the car payment. Sound interesting?
So a lot of people will make $10,000 a month on a Lamborghini, and you got to think your expenses are usually $3,000 to $4,000. So it's it'd be a pretty decent profit.
That is a nice profit. That's a profit that a lot of people could just live on. They could literally just have exotics, rent them.
They could just do this and quit their job, some people, yeah, if that's what they want to do.
Especially if your fleet of cars is out there working for you, that means your money's working for you. Why would you care if you drove the car? Take Ubers everywhere because your fleet is now paying all of your lifestyle to skateboard, to surf, to do whatever the heck you want. But let's get down to some simple steps. Like if somebody really wanted to do this, like what would be the first thing? They all think to buy a Lamborghini, I need to have a couple $100,000. Like how does this process actually work?
The smart way, you could say, like I said, I did it the impatient way. I needed to have the Lamborghini now. I needed the Ferrari now, the Bentley, the Maybach. I needed them all now. A smart way to do it to where you don't have to come out of pocket at all is to just basically buy it with zero down, buy whatever, the most you could afford was zero down. For most people, that's
zero no money out of pocket.
So if you have a 700 credit score, you can pretty much buy zero down, no income verification. They don't need to see anything. You just sign for it and go shopping for something up to 40,000. Now, to give you an example, we got a Porsche Macan that was only 35,000. And a Porsche Macan is, you know, this a couple years old, it got some miles on it, but new, this is a, you know, six-figure car. This is a $100,000 car. And they all look the same, whether it's brand new or if it's got 40,000 miles on it, they look the same. And so we got that car under the 40,000. We also got a, well, I got a Vanderhaal, which doesn't meet the same criteria because the Vanderhaal is kind of like a three-wheel vehicle. It's almost classified as a motorcycle, but I was able to buy that with zero down. But for the more expensive cars, if I wanted to be patient, play the game for a few years, I could have bought them with zero down because it's all about your high car credit. The banks don't care about your credit score when it comes to financing a car. They care about what's the highest car loan that you've ever financed. And so that's why a lot of my friends started with the $40,000 car. They had a, you know, 700 or close credit score, and then they moved to the 60, and then the 90,000, and then they moved up and up and up until they're walking in and putting zero down, and it could be a lease or a purchase. A lease, you always put a little something down, but it could still be like 5,000 or something because you got to put first payment, last payment, and a couple fees. But yeah, so I've got friends that could go buy a $500,000 car right now, zero down. And I even have one friend who built up his business credit and he can go buy 10 cars up to $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 because they're all for business. He has a proven model that each car has been profitable for him. So the way I look at it is it takes 4 payments to cover your bases at worst. You know what I mean? This car right here, the payment is around $2,800 and some change. You add insurance. The insurance was expensive because I actually had a ticket on my record that I think is off now, so my insurance should drop on the next 6-month period.
Is that uncommon to have a ticket when you have one of these? Just asking for a friend.
The ticket actually came from a different car I was driving. I haven't got a ticket driving any of the exotics yet. But yeah, you can get pulled over. Apparently, if it's red, it's a much higher chance of getting pulled over. But yeah, so the insurance was $650 a month. So you're looking at, you know, like $3,300 and some change roughly, and it rents for $1,500 a day. So if you can get it rented twice, you're pretty close to the break even. 3 times it's a profit. And so the way I saw it is, A, I'd rather drive a Lamborghini than a Ford Taurus, and B, that extra day that becomes profit, I'd rather that profit be $1,500 a day than $80 a day, right?
And everybody listening, so all of you, like, you got to look at this as this might not be your first car that you do this with. You might do it with a vehicle that's $40,000, maybe even $30,000, and you work up to this. But remember, when you get one in the fleet, that doesn't mean when you go to the next one, you have to get rid of the first one. It's a natural progression. And just like him, he jumped right in, but you could do this slow or you can go the fast route like Jason did. So now we can buy the car zero money down. Now most people know they can go to a dealership and they get any car zero money down. Maybe not this, but they know that they can do that. If they do that, what would be the next step? Like what would be step 2 after we found the car that we want to drive and we decide we're not going to drive it every day of the month and we're going to have to rent it 3, 4, maybe, hey, up to 30 days, you know, in the month. Like what would be the second step? What would we have to figure out?
Well, I'm an extremist. Step 1 wouldn't be to get 1 car for me. Step 1 would be to get 3 cars. The reason why is because if you don't have a car loan on your credit, you can purchase a car. That car's not going to show up on your credit for at least 2 weeks. And until that car shows up on your credit, you can still buy zero down. So if you can go to a dealership and walk home with a car zero down, or you can go to a dealership and walk home with 3 cars zero down, and let's say on average each car will make at least double your expenses, why not go for 3? And unfortunately, our traditional education has us thinking that that's wrong. You're taking on too much debt. But what, you know, I talk to my sisters about it, I talk to friends about it, and I say, would you rather pay $10,000 a month and make 20 than have no debt and make nothing? And they're like, oh, okay, of course, I'd rather pay 10,000 to make 20. It's like, okay, well, go get a whole bunch of debt so you can make passive income, make money. Like, that's too much debt. And they go right back to, no, I can't do it. It's so uncomfortable for us because we were told to pay everything off, not keep a loan on anything. And the rich people have never done that. Rich people always use money to make money. If they got 10 million in the bank, they'll keep the 10 million in the bank, borrow your money or my money, and go make 10 million more with our money. That's just the way that they do it. It's scalable that way. It makes more sense that way. And why would you be hesitant to borrow money at 6% if you know you can make 12%, or on some of these cars you're making 100 or 300% return on your investment? Don't be scared of the debt. So yeah, I would say step one is go get a bunch of cars. The most expensive you could afford, because I promise you, just like real estate, I've been in real estate 20 years. I had a year where my average home sold was $110,000. I sold a bunch for $80,000. Little condos were available back then in San Diego. We're talking 05. And 07 and 08, I was doing like very low price properties. They're more work. They're more problematic. The clients are harder to work with. They're more needy, and the pay is a lot less. I've had one 4-star review. I got all 5-star reviews, and my only 4-star review is someone who rented a RAV4. I'm not getting any 4-star reviews from people who rent Lambos and McLarens, because they're business owners too. They understand that shit happens. You go out of your way to accommodate them, they're cool. Poor mindset people are like, well, maybe I'll do a Lowe's review, and maybe I could get something for free, and maybe I could contact Turo and complain and get something for free. And so the third reason why I chose exotics is because I love meeting the people who rent exotics. There's always a cool story. It's always something for me to learn. These are people that I want to be connected with. I have a manager that could handle the whole fleet from start to finish, and I would never have to do anything. So why do I still meet these people at the airport, pick them up, you know, have a conversation with them, shoot them my personal cell phone number so we could shoot the shit? It's because what are you doing to where you can rent a Ferrari, a Bentley, a McLaren, a Maybach, a Lamborghini? I want to know a little bit about you and why you expect the best, or why you have the money to spend on something like that, why it's no big deal for you. And I've met some really interesting people, really cool people.
That's key. There's so much you just said there. So to unpack that, I mean, if you think with a poor mindset and you rent RAV4s because that's just what you thought you could afford and that's just where you thought you were, you're always going to stay at that level.
Yeah. And again, nothing wrong with renting a RAV4. If I was to go to Mexico, that's something that I would probably rent for me and my family. And not all rich people rent Lamborghinis, I want to make that clear. But to rent a Lamborghini, you do need to have $1,500 a day to do it. So there's a chance that there's a cool story that's behind you. Another cool thing is, like, you know how many more people wanted to have a conversation with me because I came here in the Lamborghini? And so all of a sudden, it creates interest, it creates a certain amount of clout, and it opens a lot of doors and opportunities. So building the company Epic Fighting is what did that for me initially. And this is just another step to it. So what I found is, like, people like it if you do something or create something or are part of something that is cool, right? Right now, metaverse is cool. So there's a lot of people that were not cool in school and they were not the cool kids. And all of a sudden they're building stuff in the metaverse and everyone wants to get to know them because that's what's cool right now. Lamborghini is always going to be cool. You know what I mean? Building a fight promotion is always going to be cool. And so, you know, if you're not into cars and you don't love exotic cars, and maybe you just do it for the business, maybe you go into Sprinter vans, maybe you go into 100 cars that you can rent for, you know, $50 to $100 a day. That's a great business model too. It is scalable if you can find the parking for it and the people to manage it. This is just the route that I chose.
I like it. And a lot of people would say, you'd mentioned the insurance, like they're going to call their insurance agent, and their insurance agent's going to say, oh, we can't do that, you can't rent your car out. Like,
yeah.
Once they get the car or identify that this is the route they want to go, they want nice cars, they want to rent them for part of the month or the entire month as a business, but then they're thinking, okay, well, how do I do the insurance? Well, how does that work for these?
The biggest question I get, it's the first hesitation, it's the first thing that people are saying, I would, but what about the insurance? Well, the insurance, if you go through the Turo, which is similar to Airbnb for cars, they handle the insurance. So you don't really have to worry about the insurance. I've had a couple situations with them. They're very responsive. They pay out. I have friends who've been paid out by them. So basically, you choose what kind of risk you want. What do I mean by that? They have a sliding scale from 60% to 90%. So I have a higher risk tolerance. That's why I bought 10 cars at once or in a short period of time. I have a friend, CEO Matty J. You guys could check him out, and he got like 23 cars in 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Wow, that would be fun.
Yeah, he's based in Atlanta, and so I'm at 90%. So if something goes wrong, I have a $2,500 deductible. Now, why do they pay me 95%? So if I rent this, if I rent a car for $100, I would get $90 out of that. So it's 90%. Well, they'll give me more because if something goes wrong on the car and say the repair is $3,000, I'm probably not going to use the claim because my deductible is already $2,500. I might as well pay the $3,000. If it's $2,000, I'm definitely not going to use the claim. But if your deductible is 0, which is what the 60% is, you could make $60 out of every 100, and then you have 0 deductible. Anything that goes wrong, let Turo handle it. Let Turo pay for it. You don't pay nothing out of pocket. Some people who want to, cover their risk and the business model is still profitable at 60% and they don't want any surprises, they go that route. And so you choose the risk. I believe the set amount is at 70% with a $250 deductible, and you can choose to slide it up or down. If you rent it outside of Turo, it's not the end of the world. So a lot of these cars are not on Turo because they're too expensive right now. They have a $150,000 limit on Turo until you make it to Power Host. So I'm a super host, and then they created a new thing called Power Host. And so that's okay too, because for one, you get a deposit, but the deposit is not going to cover everything. You have them up their insurance. So your insurance covers you for rent a car. So my insurance may have a problem covering me for renting it to someone, but their insurance doesn't have a problem covering them if they rent a car. And so
it'd be no different than them going to Hertz or one of the other big ones and renting.
Same thing. When you go to Hertz, you typically choose their insurance, or you say, I got my own insurance. And then you might call your guy and say, hey, I'm renting something a little nicer. This car is $60,000. Well, you're covered up to $50,000. Okay, can you up it for me? And you're paying an extra, $10 a month to up your insurance, and then you can rent whatever cars you want. So, so you can rent outside of Turo as well. And there's other platforms besides Turo too. There's a platform where you can rent it just for photo shoots. Some people have classics and they're like, you don't know how to drive this car. I don't want you driving this car. I'll show up, I'll leave it there, and you do your video shoot, your photo shoot, you film your movie. There's one that's just for trucks because people need to, hire trucks for work and stuff like that. So there's other platforms besides Turo, just like there's other platforms for homes other than Airbnb. But that's just the most common, popular one right now.
So that's really interesting, because that would have been my first thing. If you were thinking what he just explained, that insurance was your stepping stone and you don't want to do it, like he just explained to you exactly how that works. You don't even have to deal with it. Plus, you just have to be a little, I don't know, conservative in how you do it. What is your deductible going to be? And then make it so that when people rent your car, you want them to know that they have to call their insurance agent and see if they will be covered for this kind of a car. I mean, there's just so many other little things you can do. You just build it into a system. Everything is process and procedure. So now we've got buying the car. You can do one or you can go out and do 10 all at once, but we want to do it fast because we don't want that credit to get dinged.
10 different banks. One dealership probably only has a few banks, so you may have to go to multiple dealerships. Yeah. But I helped my friend buy 3 cars at once from the same dealership from 3 different banks. Yep.
So now we've got the car, we've got the insurance out of the way. Now we want to start renting it. What is the chance of you not being able to rent the car?
Well, it's pretty much no chance if you price it right, but you also want to price it at a number that makes sense from you from a business standpoint. So On this, I look at it as if I'm making $10 a mile, then I'm safe. There's not too much can go wrong if I'm making $10 a mile. So if you want this for 24 hours, it's $1,500, you get 150 miles. Oh, I only need it for 8 hours, we're doing a video shoot. Cool, you got 100 miles, it's 1,000. Oh, well, I'm only doing a photo shoot, it's only 4 hours. You got 75 miles, and it's $750.
So you get to pick all this.
I choose it. Yeah, I can choose that. And like I said, this one's not on Turo, so when people call and ask. And to be honest, it's better to have your car sit there and not be driven than somebody driving it around and putting miles and putting wear and tear on your vehicle at a price that's not profitable for you.
Good point. A lot of people would probably have that fear kick in that, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to make the payment, and then they under rent the car, and then you just open yourself up for additional risk with that.
Yeah, so it's okay to give deals to people if they're adding value in other ways and stuff like that. Like I have a lot of people volunteer for Epic Fighting, so a lot of them will get to either ride in the Lambo, or some of them may get to drive the Ferrari or drive the Bentley or something of that nature. But they also probably, if I were to pay someone to do as much work as they did over the course of how many days they worked for me, I probably would have had to pay, you know, $1,000 or something of that nature, you know, $500. And so it's worth it. It's worth it for both of us. It's a fair trade, because a lot of them would rather drive in the Lambo or ride in a Ferrari than the money. That's an experience for a lot of people that's you can never take away. You know, I was my whole childhood, I would have done anything to get inside of a Lamborghini, you know?
I think a lot of people probably, and a lot of you watching this probably think that, right? You'll never own a Lamborghini. Well, we're just showing you exactly how to do this and make money. So you can do this just so that you cover your expenses, or you can do this so that you actually make money. You get to pick and choose and dial that thing. You want to drive it for 15 days, rent it for 15? You pick and choose that. What other factors would have to be considered in doing this?
Well, I mean, like you said, you choose the days, and like if there's a day where you know you need that car for something, you block out those days. So you have the freedom to do that. I'll have weeks where I know it'll be very useful for me to have my Escalade. And so I'll change the price from the Escalades from say $200 to $250 to like $350. And so if someone does say, yo, I need it for $350, I'll find another way to get the family around, and I'll order Uber. It's worth it at that point. So a lot of times I just change the prices based on how bad I need the vehicle. And then if I've got too many vehicles sitting at home, then you know we need to get these out. Like I said, a handful of mine are not on Turo, and so I'm doing Instagram marketing and stuff like that.
And Instagram works quite well?
Yeah, I get a lot of inquiries from Instagram, and a lot of them are people I know. It's like, you know, friends of a friend and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of people in Southern California that want a car for something. And I was one of those people, so I understand. Again, as entrepreneurs, you're trying to identify a problem and solve it. Right. And for me, I was doing Epic Fighting. I was wanting to have exotic cars there for the brand and for the experience, and we've been doing it forever. We always had these cars there, pretty girls, you know, sexy cars, the whole thing. But are you showing up or not? So I'm inviting 10 friends I know that have exotic cars and hoping 1 or 2 show up, and sometimes they wouldn't. And it would be kind of embarrassing because people are like, hey, we usually take photos with the cars. Where are the cars? And you know, you got a whole story of how 10 people backed out that show, or 5 people didn't show up, or whatever. Or they came, but they parked in the front because they were only going to stay for an hour. And so now I own my own cars, and I park them out there for my events. And again, what do I do at my events? I put the price up. You can rent the cars, but it's going to be more because I want to have them at my events. But I can't have all 10 there. So as long as I have 3 or 4, I'm good.
That works. How much time commitment would this take if somebody wanted to start doing this? Is it like a full-time thing? If they really got caught up?
It's up to you. So you charge a delivery fee.
Okay.
The delivery fee, I put mine to the max on all of them. And what's the max delivery fee right now? I think it's 100 or 150. So I don't care if you want me to take a RAV4 or if you want me to take a Lamborghini. It's $150 for me to take it to the airport, or take it, usually it's the airport, take it to the house, something like that. And so you could easily find someone to do that for you for $150, right? $150 is plenty of money for them to cover their gas and cover their time and take it over there. So anytime that I'm involved with the transaction at any amount, it's because I want to be. You don't have to be. So when I go on vacation, I just give the delivery fee to whoever I have working for me, and they deliver it. Yep. So the answer is 0 or close to 0, I would say, because you can give them your login to Turo. They can communicate directly to as much as you want. Yesterday, we drove back to the house. I gave the keys to the Escalade to someone. Someone else, I gave them I already had the key in. So a lot of them have remote unlock. So you can literally leave the key in the car, lock it from your phone or remote. They picked it up. I took it up. They wanted to come back and trade it for the Ferrari. So by the time I left Secret Knock and got home, it was already like 10 o'clock. They were coming back to trade the Maybach for the Ferrari. And what are they doing? Why do they need 2 cars in one day? They're doing content. They want to switch up the content. They probably got, 20 videos in the Maybach. They've already rented the Maybach before, and now they want to get a bunch of videos in the Ferrari. So they're going to have the Ferrari till tonight. And, I have a friend who has several exotic cars, but he rented my Maybach because my Maybach is I guess rare, and he doesn't have one. He's never had one. And he did a bunch of content in it as well. So he used it to take his girl out and take his mom to a dinner. He had it for a few days. But also I saw on his Instagram a bunch of cool content videos with him talking inside the Maybach. So there's lots of value that it adds in different ways. I have one beautiful pictures on the Instagram, Epic Exotics, ends with a Z, of wedding photos. And the whole wedding photos was with the convertible Bentley. And it just made the whole wedding a lot more elegant.
So many uses. And you could almost build a process around this. So you really just turn this into a business. You hire somebody or hire even a VA to handle some of the service work, and then you just have one person delivering cars, inspecting them when they come back.
Will show up and detail 2 or 3 before they get rented or before an event. He just detailed this one right here on the spot. So yeah, you need to have a good detailer. You need to have a good mechanic. You need to have someone that can deliver the cars when you need to, that knows how to drive and operate them. And those are your key people.
That's awesome.
And what's another cool thing about the exotics? If I want to pay Harlem, cool. If I want to let him ride the Vanderhall to the gym, he'll take that trade. If I want to pay for a membership, cool. Or I could tag with my Lamborghini, the drive-through car wash, free membership for life for all my cars. So that's another perk of having the exotic cars. If my friend owns a car wash up here, I can pay him each car wash, or I can let him take his girlfriend in the Ferrari on a date. We're good for the next few months of car washes. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of clout power to be able to do barter.
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of people want Ferraris and Lamborghinis, or even just to be seen in them. It's just so many different ways to do it. So you all have the ability to do exactly what Jason did here with his company. He's turned it into a business, has a whole fleet of cars. Start with 1, 2, 3, get rolling and make it happen, because you know what? Stop dreaming, stop looking at the pictures of the Porsche or the Lamborghini or the Ferrari on your wall and put it in the driveway, and then get paid to actually have the car of your dreams.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Is the Wolf for rent?
She is actually. She does bookings for videos and content and stuff like that. Charlotte the Friendly Wolf on Instagram.
Check it out. So if you guys need photos with a real wolf right here, she'll show up for your wedding, or maybe if you just don't like your neighbor and you want them gone, that wouldn't be a bad rental either. Thanks for joining us today. Go out there and get the dream car you want. So let's dive in. The first thing you might be asking is, how do I own an exotic car, or any car for that matter, and get paid to drive it? Well, you're familiar with things like Airbnb or VRMO, or different places where you can rent your house and rent all sorts of things to people that need them. Well, you can do the exact same thing with your car. And that's exactly what Turo is. Turo is a way where you can take your car and you can rent it out. And you pick and choose how often you want to rent it. You can rent it for a day, for 15 days, or heck, you can just make a business out of it like Jason here did. So let's dive into what this actually looks like, and let's crack the code to how you get paid to drive a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. So in order to do this, to get paid to drive these vehicles, the first thing we got to do is we got to find ourselves a vehicle. Now I know we are talking about Lamborghinis and Ferraris, but if you live up here in the north, we get a little bit of snow. So a Lamborghini might not work in the winter, but you know what will? A Jeep Wrangler. Jeep Wranglers are a great vehicle. They hold their value. They're in high demand, especially right now. So let's start with a more modest vehicle than a Lamborghini or Ferrari, and let's start with getting paid to drive a Jeep Wrangler. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a site that many of you know about called Carvana. And it doesn't matter what site you pick, this is just the one I chose to use. And as I go to Carvana, the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll through here and I'm just going to look at these vehicles. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for a Jeep that's got low miles, that looks pretty cool, and has some of the fittings and the finishes that I want. So as I scroll through, there's a lot of really cool Jeeps. Most of these Jeeps are falling in the $35,000 to $45,000 range. But then if I find this one right here, I like this one because it's practically brand new. It's a 2021 Jeep Wrangler and going at $44,990. Now, the only thing I don't love about this is the color. But you know what? It's not for me. I want to rent this thing through Turo. So I like this one because it's got 1,731 miles. So we can buy this vehicle for $44,990. Now, let's talk about the different ways you could buy a used vehicle. Number one, the most common way is you could pay cash for that car. You could save up $44,990 plus tags and taxes, and you could have that money, walk in there and hand the person the cash. And boom, you've got yourself a 2021 Jeep Wrangler with about 1,700 miles on it. That's a win. The second way you could do it is you could go to this place, Carvana, and they would connect you with a bank. But we would have to first find out how much would financing be on a $44,000 or almost $45,000 Jeep Wrangler. So the way I do that before I even go to the dealership or even waste any time, I want to see, can I afford this and can I make money with this? So the next thing I want to do is I want to find out how much would this Jeep Wrangler cost me if I were going to finance it through the bank. Well, there's an easy way to do that. There's a site that I often use called bankrate.com. You guys can check out bankrate.com and just go to the auto loan calculator. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to put in the dollar amount of this vehicle, which is $44,990, and however long you want to finance it. But the most common is 5 years. Most of the vehicles that I have financed before I financed them through my own bank were all 5 years. So if I put 60 months in, and if we look at interest rates, right now, you might be able to get a vehicle at 5% interest, but I bet you in a couple months here, after the Fed raises interest rates another time at 0.5%. Now, folks, just so you all know, the Fed's going to raise interest rates 7 times for 2022. So the amount you can get a car for today in terms of an interest rate, that's going to be different at the end of the year. So let's just round up and let's just assume 6% interest on this vehicle. So a $44,999 vehicle at 60 months, 6% interest, that would be about $870 a month. All right, so now we know where we can buy the vehicle, we know how much the Jeep Wrangler is going to cost, and we now also know if we were to finance it, how much it would cost every single month, which we're going to use later. Now let's look at how much money we could actually make. So if we went in and we were to look at Turo and we were to look through all the other Jeeps that are up there, you can see that there's a bunch of different Jeeps. A 2017 being rented out for $120 a day. But then right here, very similar Jeep to what we have. A 2021 Jeep Wrangler renting out at $123 a day. Now, if you were to buy this Jeep Wrangler and rent this out through Turo, chances are you're not going to rent it every single day of the month. You're going to drive it some days and you're going to rent it out only the amount of days you need or the days you want. So what we did is we looked at how many days would you have to rent this Jeep out in order to pay for it. So folks, here's the math. We're assuming that you went out and bought yourself a 2021 Jeep Wrangler with 1,731 miles on it. Now what we're also going to assume is that you're going to rent this thing out through Turo every single day for however many days you want, but we got to find the break even. So that's a very easy number to do. If we took the monthly payment of your loan, which is $869 a month. Remember, we already talked about that. We figured it out through bankrate.com. If you were to finance this, $869.78 would be your monthly payment. So if we break that down by, let's just say there's 30 days in the month, that's roughly $29 every single day. So this works out to be about 29 bucks a day. So now if we can rent this vehicle out for $123 a day, well, if we did the math and we just figured out the profit, we would figure out that it would take roughly 11 days for you to break even. So you got to rent your Jeep out for 11 days just to pay for the vehicle. So that doesn't include insurance or maintenance or car washes. So let's round that up to 15 days. Okay? And that covers a couple different things. Covers wear and tear, the insurance on the vehicle, and also getting it washed every time. Because it is a Jeep. People aren't going to just take this out and putz it around on the roads. They're probably going to go off-roading with it. So now we know that you got to give this vehicle up 15 days every single month in order to pay for it. Now that might be good for some of you, but some of you might want to actually use this as a money-making activity. So you know every single day after the 15th day, you're in the green. Now all of a sudden you're making a profit. But let me show you one additional thing, because some of you are thinking, well, Chris, what if I don't finance the vehicle? What if I actually have the cash? Well, now I want to show you how you can apply something that I learned a long time ago called the infinite banking concept. This is a process, and it's a process of taking back the banking functions in your life. This process will allow you to do one thing, and that is get all the money back for every single one of these cars you ever buy, drive, and own, and all you have to do is change one thing. So here's the one change you need to make. All that money that you saved up to buy that vehicle, you're going to change where that money goes first. See, right now it's probably sitting in a checking or a savings account, right? How did I know that? Well, that's because that's what we've been lied to about. We've been told to give up control of our money, put it in other people's banks, and let the bank make our money work for them. Well, that's got to change right here and right now. We're going to change where that $44,990 goes. And we're going to put it into your bank. BYOB. Stands for Be Your Own Banker. Now, what is your bank? Well, it's easy. It's a whole life insurance policy. But before you get all up in arms on this, it's not a regular whole life. It is a specially designed and engineered whole life that is built so that this plan works like your banking system. And it's going to basically mimic how banks use your money every single day. The best part about this is you're going to make a guaranteed interest rate plus dividends. So the interest rate with dividends is going to get you around 5 to 6%. Now, that's a heck of a lot better than you're getting in your bank, right? So if we put the money into this account and we earn 5 to 6% on that money, but then we need to take that money back out, most of you would think, well, that's stupid because now I stop the flow of interest on that money. Wrong. When we take this $44,000 out as a loan, so I'm just going to move $44,990 from your banking policy. And just so you all know, just so we're transparent, if you put $44,990 into your policy, you would not be able to take all $44,990 out immediately in the first 30 days. You'd have to let that money mature a little bit, but you could take a portion of it out, up to probably 85, maybe 90% of the money you put in. But let's just keep things simple here, folks. We have $44,990 in the policy, and we want to take $44,990 out. You're not going to take a withdrawal. See, what you're going to do is you're going to take a loan from the insurance company, and they'll gladly give you a loan, no questions, no credit checks. You don't have to fill out any paperwork. You click a button, answer a few questions online, just saying this isn't part of a divorce, this isn't money laundering, and where do you want the money to go? What the insurance company is going to do is they're going to take whatever cash you have in there and they're going to use it as collateral. And they're going to make you a loan for this $44,990, and that loan is the insurance company giving you part of your death benefit early. Because most of you think you have to die in order to get your death benefit. Well, this is the way where you can access the death benefit or leverage the death benefit and collateralize it using the money that's sitting in your cash value. So now we got $44,990 that we've taken out as a loan. Here's the thing. The insurance company is going to charge you interest on that loan. Right now, it'd be about 4%. Depending on the carriers, they can go anywhere between high 3s up to 5% that I've seen. So if we're going to use 4, because that's the carrier that I use, and we're making 5 to 6, we're making a spread. So the very first thing I want you to realize is that you are doing the same thing a bank is. If you have money in a bank pays you an interest rate. Call it 1%. Well, let's say that bank loans that money out to you at 5%. You're making 1 and you're paying 5. Your spread, or the bank spread, would be 4, right? But see, now I'm thinking like the bank. If I'm making, let's just use 5%, and I have to pay 4, my spread is 1. If I'm making 6% and my cost for that loan is 4, I'm making a 2% spread. This marks the first place where we actually are making money. So we'll write a number 1 there, making money once. Now let's move on to making money twice. So now we got the money sitting in the bank and we want to buy this Jeep. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that loan and we're going to go out and we're going to buy that Jeep Wrangler, and now you got the truck. But you see, you took a loan from your bank, and I don't think you could have ever borrowed money from someone else's bank and not paid a monthly payment to them, which includes principal and interest. Remember that $869.78 that we were going to pay somebody else's bank? That was going to cost you over $7,000 in interest that would have left your family forever? Well, let's just treat our bank the same as we treat their bank's money. So if we took a loan from our bank, let's pay our bank back. We already figured it out at a 6% interest rate. That'd be $869.78. So $869.78 every single month. That's going to be your monthly payment. But the monthly payment isn't going to go to somebody else. It's going to go directly back in to your policy. So now every single time you make a monthly payment to your bank, you have $869.78 to use again. Novel idea, right? Folks, if you just kept doing this and you just kept paying your bank back and paying the loan down that you took from your policy, you are now making money twice. You're making money once on the spread. Now you're making money twice because this loan payment includes interest. How much interest? 6% interest. Over 5 years, that would amount to over $7,000 in interest that you paid to your bank instead of somebody else's. But now let's get back to the fun stuff. How do you actually get paid to drive this Jeep? We already figured that out. We got to rent this Jeep out for 15 days. And then this $869 is fully covered, fully paid for, and you paid for some car washes, some maintenance, and your car insurance. Not a bad day in the office. And you only had to give up about 15 days every month. But let's just say you rented it out for 16 days. Now you just profited $123. So every single day, so each day that you rent this out through Turo, just think of it as it's worth $123 to you. So you pick and choose how much extra money do you need every month. You want $600? Great. It's about 5 to 6 days that you got to rent this out. So you can see this can get pretty lucrative pretty fast. And the cool part is you have the dial. When you need to rent it, great, rent it. When you need some extra spending cash, pick up a couple extra days of rental. When you don't need the spending cash and you need the truck, well, drive the truck, but make sure that you cover your expenses 15 days in this example. Now, what Jason did in that video in solving the money problem is he treated it like a business. Every vehicle that he bought, he ran it through a company bank account. And what he did is he just treated it like a business. So he barely drives these cars himself. So he rents it out for weddings and music videos and all sorts of stuff. And he charges even more than the normal daily rate. You could do that with your vehicles as well. See, Jason treats it like a business. We can do it any which way you want. You could treat it just like you're trying to pay for your vehicle. I just showed you how to do that. If you wanted to make some money and treat it like a business, well, treat it like a business. But the one thing I showed you that Jason didn't talk about, and that I need to teach Jason, is how to get all the money back for all these vehicles that you use for Turo. And that is simply changing one thing, and that is where your money goes first. Hey folks, if you liked this video, check this one out. It teaches you how to get all the money back for all the cars you ever buy, drive, and own, and then just apply the Turo to this magic mix. If you guys liked this video, make sure you subscribe to this channel and click that little alert button. Actually, smash that alert button so you're notified every time we put up a new video.